The evolution of your marketing will be the catalyst for the evolution of your business, and the evolution of your business will provide you with the freedom to focus on the evolution of your life. This is Evolved Marketing with Andrei and Brian.
Welcome back to another episode of the Evolve Marketing Podcast. My name is Andrei Yermejev, and unfortunately, today it's going to be only me again. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Brian is right here with us. Our vacations just finished, so now we're back to the grind, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's right. We got the two of us here back together in action on the same stage here, so to speak. So it's good to see you. Good to have you back. It was fun to do the solo episode. It was fun for me to dive into my journey and share some of the lessons I've learned along the way that still apply to my business. That was episode 38. It was fun to watch your episode. It was really cool seeing it, but like kind of behind the scenes, it was like I was a little voyeur watching. You gave a great training in episode 37. That's really going to help people out, especially if you're looking to, pick up some steam on social media. So it was fun, but it's good to be back together again.
Yeah, how was your vacation? Where did you end up going?
Yeah, so I've been on a couple vacations this summer, but most recently, we just kind of stayed in the area. Over July 4th, we were at a cabin. Our friends have a cabin and they let us use it. So we went out there, lit off fireworks, took the dirt bike, had a bunch of fun. And then after that, we went to a couple Rangers games because the Texas Rangers are doing really well this year. So one night we went to the game and then stayed at the Lowe's Hotel, which is right next door. They have a cool pool with some bar and kids swim and play with other kids. And me and my wife can sit back and have some drinks. And then we went the other day as well. We went and watched them sweep the Cleveland Indians. So good stuff there. So we had a lot of fun. What about you? What were you up to?
Nice. Well, we went with my family. We went to Cancun. So it's our second time being in Cancun. We love it over there. The weather is great. The restaurant or the hotel that we stayed at, we love the hotel, especially because it's not an all-inclusive hotel. Like I feel like I tried all-inclusive hotels in different parts of Mexico, but I just feel like it's not the same. Like the food is not as good. The service is not that great either. I mean, it's okay service, you get me? Because they're 4 or 5 star hotels. But still though, I think you get the better service, you get more better ingredients when you actually have to pay out of pocket. You get me? So we
I
went to the
100%
hotel.
agree.
Yeah. So we went to the hotel and with the excursions and we just wanted to relax, because we were there maybe like 2 years ago. We went there and we did so many excursions, but then this time we only did the main one, which was the Chichen Itza, which is like the one of the wonders of the world that is over there in Mexico. It's a big pyramid, amazing structures. So we just decided to just do that excursion, and then other than that, we literally just relaxed by the pool, by the beach, and we were just literally relaxing. We didn't do nothing else, having a couple of cocktails, couple beers, and just be a family, just chill. And sometimes I think it's needed just to forget about everything else and just, you know, go down there and then just relax. And that's what we did, and it was great. But since we do have an online business, I still have to work a little bit, right? So I was by the pool just on my phone, replying to some messages. I was checking how my program was doing as well, replying to a couple emails. So it was nothing crazy. Literally, like it took maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. But I did see while I was over there in Mexico that there was a new app that came out, which is called Threads, and it's by Instagram or by Facebook, correct?
Yeah, it's by the Meta platform, but it's definitely
Exactly.
connected to Instagram. When you sign up for Threads, which is the new social media account, and just to keep things simple, it's basically a rip on Twitter. It's the same kind of text posting platform that people are familiar with, and I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Threads. But yeah, it's connected through Instagram. So when you sign up for Threads, you connect straight through your Instagram account. I know for a fact that some of your followers from Instagram come over and find you on Threads. I don't know how it works, but yeah, it's pretty interesting so far. Have you jumped on the platform already and got it going?
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it because I downloaded the app and literally it already knew that I had an Instagram account. So the whole setup of your account for threads was like the most simplest setup that I ever done with any type of app that I used in the past, right? Because all I had to do was, oh, you have an Instagram, you want to link it, click here, and I click here, and then all my bio, my link on my bio, like some of the followers transfer over as well. You get me? So like that whole setup and making it work, it was like the most simplest thing that anybody could ever do, honestly. And just like you say, it's literally just like Twitter. We'll see how it's gonna affect Twitter in the future. But according to, I think I saw a post by Zach. Is his name Zach, the CEO of Facebook?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. There you go. That's his name. He did a post saying that like the stats were amazing. Like it's just how when Instagram first came out, it's literally somewhat the same stats basically. So hopefully it's something that is gonna be huge, And I don't know. I feel like reading something is. I know we're so used to making videos, correct? Like because that's how we promote our business. But I feel like reading also has a different effect on people, especially when you have a lot of value to give, And what you're doing also is you're eliminating people that don't like to read. You get me? It's like sending an email and you send a long email. How many people are gonna read through the whole email? It's probably you're already eliminating people just by writing a long email, correct?
That's exactly right. And I have pretty strong opinions about text. I love text. And that is what's really interesting about this platform. You mentioned one thing, but before I kind of expand on that, I want to take my point of view and share what I think the difference between text and video is. And the thing about videos is great. It's engaging. It's a great way to attract new people into our audience, into our universe or ecosystem or whatever you want to call it. But if you're watching a video, it takes so long to digest that information. It's slow, right? Whereas if you're reading information, it's fast, right? I can read so much faster than I can sit and listen to someone, right? If I'm reading, I can get through a whole script worth of information that might be a 10-minute video. I can get through it in probably a minute. That's like why I hate when people send me a message on Facebook and they send me a voice message, right? It's like, oh, so you were too lazy to type, so I got to sit here for 60 seconds while you get to the point. Where if you just send me a text message, I can read it in 6 seconds and I'm on to the next thing, right? So it's kind of the same idea. So that's why I love text. But what you said is it kind of eliminates some people who are not really engaged, right? And when you compared it to long form emails, I love that because when I do a lot of my email marketing, I do one of two things. I either write a very short email that links people over to a video or a training or a sales letter or something along those lines. Or the alternative is I write a super long email. And I get a lot of people who come through my coaching program. It's like, Brian, you write these super long emails. Do we have to do that? And the way I see it is this. If you're going to get people to buy something from you, they have to have all the information. You have to give all the value, all the you have to overcome all the objections. So you do have to have all that content there. But the thing is like you said, when there's long text, it disqualifies a lot of people. So who's going to read that long email? Is everyone going to read that long email? Of course not. People say, I hate reading long emails. Well, that's fine. Who's going to read that long email? The buyers are going to read that long email, right? And that's ultimately at the end of the day what we care about. We care about converting leads into buyers. I mean, if you want to make money, that is.
Yeah, exactly. And I learned this from Zach Crawford, because he will always write so many like long posts, even on Facebook, and he will say, yeah, I do that for a purpose, because he wants to eliminate so many people right from the get-go, because at the end of the day, if those people or if you're trying to convince those people to read your whole thing, you're already wasting your time.
Right.
Like those people have to be willing to actually read, educate themselves, and see all the value that is on the email, right? But now going back to threads, like you can also do long posts, you can do short posts, you can tweet about, or it's like Twitter, right? You can just tweet little things here and there, so you could actually make it really engaging, and it doesn't have to be long form, but at the same time, it's a different form of giving value. And I think
100%.
that's super powerful too.
Yeah, I think so. One of the favorite things I saw is, if it's Twitter, we call them tweets. If it's threads, do we call them sheets? Right. So I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So let's dive into threads a little bit here. You're on the platform, I'm on the platform. One thing that is really cool is if you are verified on Instagram and you open your threads account through your Instagram account, then you're automatically verified on threads, which I think is really cool, which I think will help the quality of the platform. But you've probably been on threads for what, 2 weeks now or so. What are
Probably
your
about a week, maybe.
About a
Yeah.
week? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts in how you are going to use the platform and how you can apply that to your overall marketing strategy? Any initial thoughts on what you see so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I've been doing with my threads is, first of all, you need to utilize the strategies that they implement. For example, you could share your threads. Let's say you post something on threads. You could share it as a feed post for your Instagram account. Okay. So it makes it so much easier to just transfer whatever you put on threads to your Instagram instead of going to Instagram or going on Canva and creating like a Twitter looking type of post. You get me? And then post it on your Instagram account. That was what I used to do before. I used to go on Canva. I will put my picture there and then write something cool of value and maybe a call to action to promote something and then put it on my Instagram. But now everything is just simplified. Now all you gotta do is just create a post on threads, and then you go on the share button and you can share it to your feed on your Instagram account. And then from your Instagram account, you can share it to your stories. You get me? So it's like I feel like they made it so much simpler to just not have 7-second videos on your Instagram. Because yes,
Right.
Reels will get you followers, but what does Instagram love about people using the app is engagement, right? So that if you just create reels, yeah, you're gonna get engagement. But if you add this extra different post like with your threads, you're gonna get more likes, you're gonna get more comments. If you put it on your story, you're gonna get way more engagement by just doing this. And they, like I said, they just simplify it so well that it's worth playing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. You got to give the platforms what they want. So that's the whole thing about consistency is, what do the platforms really want? Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, doesn't matter which one you're talking about. They all pretty much want the same thing. They want users to sit down, open up the app, and spend time on the app, because then they can serve more ads and make more money. Well, if you are consistently giving value, and as you said, Threads just made it easier to share more value across more platforms, like Instagram, in both the posts category and the stories category. Well, maybe you're going to get people who are going to sit down, grab their phone, and say, "Well, let me see what Andre had to say today." And that gets them to open up the app. Well, if people open up the app and then start watching your stuff first, Andre, then Instagram's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, Andre's getting people to do exactly what we want people to do, and that's open up the app and spend time there." So you as a creator, Andre, are going to be rewarded for that. And like you said, it's such a great opportunity. And this is kind of how I see threads. It's a great opportunity to bring people more into your brand, where it's not necessarily, at least I'm seeing so far, not necessarily a top of the funnel platform where you're trying to attract tons of new eyeballs. It's more of an opportunity to nurture your leads. And like you said, you can do that not only on the Threads app, but very easily with a simple click of a share button. Get that content, that information, that text-based information over to Instagram in two different areas, both posts and stories. Now you can nurture them on there. So now we're talking more middle funnel stuff where you're connecting with people, they're getting to know you and about the opportunity that you offer, and then they're going to be more likely to take action and eventually, work their way down in the funnel until they become a buyer of whatever you're selling or promoting.
Yeah, and you build more authority that way. You
Exactly.
know, just by giving more value and giving people options to, because not everybody's into Facebook. You get me? And you can. I'm pretty sure you can utilize Threads as a Facebook account. You can just create a community there of people just that follow you, and it's just by you tweeting. It's like I keep saying tweeting, but I just don't know the actual term. The threads is gonna come up with, but it's just I think it's a good opportunity for people. But just how I said, not everybody likes Facebook, not everybody likes Instagram, not everybody likes TikTok. People consume content in their own different way. So
Right?
it's
And
always yeah. Go ahead.
you're talking about omnipresence here, right? Because you're working so hard to create these videos to get people into your brand, and then if you don't continue to show up for them, then you're not going to make any money because you're never going to build a strong enough connection, and they're never going to
Exactly.
hear all about what you have to offer in your story and stuff like that. But like you said, now you're giving people an opportunity to consume your information, your teachings, your strategies, your story on a platform that they prefer, and that's the omnipresence effect.
Yeah, 100%. And do you think Threads is gonna have like a some type of like outreach? Like let's say you do a thread and is there a is it would that go viral? You think that that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I don't think, at least I'm not treating threads that way right now. I'm treating threads more of a personal journal of marketing ideas, strategies, and lessons that I've learned over the years, and creating kind of a backlog of just value. And a lot of times I'm just posting something because I think it's valuable or it's interesting, or as you alluded to, establishes my authority, right? I might give a value post, but I might, put a picture of me holding the 2 Comma Club award or the Dream Car award or on stage with Russell or something like that, Russell Brunson. But to answer your question, there's absolutely an opportunity to go viral and get reach, because I see in my feed people that I don't follow on Instagram. I don't follow a whole lot of people on Instagram, yet I'm seeing their information come across my feed. So that means I'm being exposed to new marketers generally. So if I'm getting exposed to them, then there's certainly the opportunity for me to get exposed to people who've never seen me before. So it's just another opportunity.
Yeah, and that's also the beauty about this. It's something that is new, right? Like nobody has the formula. You
Mm-hmm.
get me? No, the formula is probably out there, but who knows it? You get me? Like that's something that we just have to implement and just figure it out as we go.
Yeah, as in my early stages, because I was on threads on day 2 or 3, what I believe is part of the formula is I start to dissect what's working by seeing what works for me and seeing what works for the people who I continue to see come across my feed, right? Because that's the goal, is that repeat appearance. Is I think threads is really a volume game, right? So whereas if you're going to create like TikToks or Reels or something like that, maybe you'll do one, maybe you'll do 2 videos a day if you're being consistent. But really, what you want to do is you want to try to create the best 1 or 2 videos that you can when you create content, because you're going to get, I think, diminished returns if you posted 12 TikToks in a day. A, because it can't serve all your content, and B, because it's hard to create high quality content at that volume for an extended period of time, right? You kind of get a little burned out and it all starts to sound the same. Where threads, I think, is the exact opposite. I think the more you can, what do we call them? The more you can cheat. I think the more content you can get out there, the better you are going to see people not just become familiar with your brand, but become connected to your brand, right?
Yeah. Now that I think about it, we haven't opened one for the podcast. That could be another cool tool to reach other people. And we can utilize it in a different way that we're actually giving more value to our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But the other thing that I've been doing is every now and then I'll put a post about a podcast episode, maybe a little lesson that I learned, and I'll link it down in the, like, I might comment on my own thread or something like that, or I might link it right into the thread, because that's something we haven't talked about yet, is you can put clickable links right in your thread. So really cool stuff that maybe we should talk about in just a second. But I've been sharing the podcast for 2 reasons, Andre. First of all, obviously, I want to bring more listeners into the podcast because I think we provide some great value here through our interviews, through our stories, and through the amazing guests that we bring on. But the other reason I share stuff about the podcast and link to the podcast is because, once again, that establishes my authority, right? Because we have a podcast, because we're on episode 40 or whatever this ends up being, right? That not a lot of people in this world have started a podcast, and even less have started a podcast and committed to it consistently for almost a year now, right? Or almost 3/4 of a year, however you want to look at. Plus, because the name of our podcast is Evolved Marketing Podcast, people can easily identify what my account's all about. Okay, this guy's a marketing dude. All right, great. So I just established my authority, communicated what kind of value they can expect to receive from me, and then hopefully, in addition to that, bring some more viewers into the podcast as well. So
Exactly. It's gonna be a great opportunity. So I just looked at the stats. There's over 5 million podcasts globally, and only around 700,000 podcasts are active. You see the difference? Yeah, it's a market that is huge, right? Like it's so hard to start a podcast because there's so many out there. But not everybody is consistent with their podcast. I could create a podcast tomorrow and not ever post a video. You get
right.
me? Or not ever create an episode. You get me? So out of 5 million, there's only 700,000 podcasts active. I mean, that's still a great opportunity. I feel like, more people are gonna. And the thing about it is that you just need to have something that and you can literally create a podcast about literally anything. And
Yeah,
that's the beauty about this.
and your audience is going to find you, right? Like if you're into tying flies or sharpening knives or cooking or grilling or whatever it is, cars, there's an audience of people out there who are interested. And if you bring a podcast to the table, then they're eventually going to find you. And I see a lot of parallels, at least in the early stages, between a podcast and a thread or threads or whatever you want to call it, even though they're completely different media, right? Like this is obviously mostly voice, that is obviously mostly text. But I think the strategy is where I see the parallels, right? We didn't start this podcast to get rich overnight. We didn't start this podcast to generate a bunch of leads, right? We don't have sponsorships. We don't have links. We started this podcast to A, have a creative outlet, but B, also to think long term and put a body of work out there that is valuable. And I think that's the same kind of thing that you can do with threads is, like I said earlier, I'm using it as a creative outlet. If I have a good marketing idea or I'm reminded of something I learned 10 years ago, right? I just type it into threads and it's like a journal, right? And I'm creating this body of value. And long term, I think that's where a lot of the value is. And you can have
And
fun with it. You can be creative with
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's like that app is making you like self accountable in a way.
Yeah.
In a way,
100%.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm tweeting. I'm tweeting every single day. In there, doing a couple posts. Engagement is not that great right now, but I'm just doing it for, like, just how you say, I'm not doing it for the results. I'm not doing it to reach more people. I'm doing it just to build the authority. And who knows, maybe in the future that this is gonna be like the next Twitter. Maybe Twitter will go out of business. I don't know. But I
Well,
just
that's
love
what
when.
I really like about the app too, is because it's in the early stages and no one knows how to game the system yet. Everybody's just putting out value and sharing like cool stuff for the most part because nobody knows yet. It's like once you figure out a platform, YouTube is the perfect example. Like once people figured out YouTube, then everyone just posts the same crap on YouTube. You know what I mean? They do some sort of clickbait and then they, tease it and then they, throw in some hitch or something like that or some sort of conflict. It's all the same crap because people have figured out what works. Nobody knows what's working on threads yet. So people are just going out there and trying to do their best. And it's really fun right now.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, okay, what else? What else been going on with your company, your program, your life? Any exciting things happening lately?
Yeah, I mean, so from a personal standpoint, my daughter is actually going to a new school for the first time, right? She's going into sixth grade. So she's been kindergarten through fifth grade at the same school. So in just a couple of weeks, she's going into, I guess, middle school is what you call it. And she goes into sixth grade. So that's kind of what we're focused on the home front. As far as business, business has been pretty good. I think at one point in the recent episode, I talked about adding monthly recurring revenue to my program through not necessarily different offers, but different payment options for those offers. And I talked about that in depth in episode 38 as well when I went solo. So you can listen to that if you want to see how I structured my pricing strategy to add monthly recurring revenue. But monthly recurring revenue is great. I mean, it's going up. It's gotten to the point where it's probably more money than I need every month. So it's really allowed me the opportunity to still focus on front end sales, but the monthly recurring revenue and where it's at now has just given me such freedom to kind of focus on building the business the right way, right? Because I don't have to make the next high ticket sale, right? Because I know the numbers are going to be good and they're getting better. And as long as monthly recurring revenue goes up, then it's, the rest will be history, as they say. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just focused on offering the coaching to the best of my ability, tweaking the automated email sequences, and really just focusing on getting things automated. And I think I made the commitment this week to actually go down to 3 working days a week. Wow, which is really interesting. I think I made the commitment to working Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday now.
Yeah.
And it just kind of gave me a moment to think back about when I started this years ago and how, I was working so many hours, 60 hours a week, and doing this, affiliate marketing thing on the side, adding another, 10 hours a week of work. And I was just like, man, if I could just, make extra money. And then if I could just quit my job and then only work 40 hours a week. And then if I could only work 35 hours a week and stuff like that. And now here we are. It's like, wow, I see a real plan and a real path to working 3 days a week going forward. And that's kind of what I'm excited about right now.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I mean, going from working 50 plus hours a week to just now 3 days a week. I mean, that's amazing. And it's not like you're gonna be in your office for like 8 hours either, those 3 days, right? Like it's probably
Right.
gonna be like maybe like 2 hours to maybe 4 hours, I would say. You think that's
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna
accurate?
I'm gonna look at it as more of a, hey, let's batch everything out. Let's, I have my coaching calls every other week that I attend to. We have the podcast episodes that we do usually on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'll probably put a good 6 hour day in, on those 3 days. But that's 18 hours a week, 3 days a week. So and for the listener, let's be clear here. I started this back in 2012. So this is not overnight. I've worked for it. I've earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been strategic with everything, and I've been very hesitant to completely step away from my business at all, really, right? Like I've been like, I got to get there. I got to be there. I got to create content. I got to do these things for years. So it's been a long journey, but as I start to figure out where the leverage points are and really how I can bring the most value to my audience and my students is by just going all in for 3 days and then kind of recharging, so to speak, or not really recharging because it doesn't wear me out. I love what I do, but kind of spending time with my family the other 4 days a week, because that's the whole reason I started this. I never started this to be a billionaire, and I don't really have any intentions of being a billionaire, but it was really all about time with my family. So that's what I have to remember is like, don't get so focused on the money, even though I want, the numbers are important to me because I have to have goals, right? I want to make X amount a month because that's my goal, but don't focus on that. Like my kids are getting older. Like, why did I start this whole thing? It was
Mm-hmm.
to spend more time with my family. So I better honor that initial commitment that I made to myself.
Yeah, and you're accomplishing it. That's the most important thing, that you are actually, that was your goal from the beginning, and now you're doing it. you
Right.
know right now for my program, I'm in the process of making it better. I'm just like thinking and tweaking, because I have to listen to my students as well, right? To see like what they need, because my whole goal is to help as many people as I can the right way. I don't care if I don't make a sale. I just want to make sure they have the results that they want to have. And one of the things that I found out is it's something so new for the Hispanic community, So there's people that it's really difficult to afford, like ClickFunnels and Aweber. So right now I'm just looking for different alternatives. For example, I just found out that System.io has it all in Spanish too. You get me?
Oh,
So like
really?
little by little, I'm just tweaking. I didn't know I could change the language for that. So maybe that could be a great opportunity. But now I have to educate myself and make sure it actually works, and I have to learn the ins and out of that new software. So right now I'm in the process of, investing myself in that, and putting my head down and just focusing on that software so I can learn it really well. That way I can teach it to my students. And the beauty about it is that it's free to start, and that's going to give so many people more opportunity, because what's happening is people are investing in my program, and then they find out that, oh, they probably get discouraged because they don't take action after that, because they can't really afford more they can afford more money after that, you get me, to run the business. So then this will give them the opportunity to actually make money with a lower cost of your online business. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I did have a question for you about it, because I know you do also give the option for your affiliates, right? Like you teach them ClickFunnels and then an autoresponder, correct? But you also teach them about System.io. My question to you was, is that something that you put in your free course, or is that something that you put on your high ticket, or your one of your little upsells that you have as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the free course, I introduce them to funnels essentially and give them different options. But the thing I've learned, like, so let's say obviously we're trying to help people, right? So we want to introduce them to a free software opportunity or a low cost software opportunity. If they want to add some automations, I think they have to bump up to the first tier, which I believe is $27 a month. But $27 a month for your website and your autoresponder is still a steal. So no real worries there. But the thing about it is, if you just give people free templates and say, here, go use this free software and stuff like that, they're not going to take action on it. So what I do is really the System.io training, the setup tutorials, and of course the funnels and the swipes, if you want to call them that, the email swipes or the initial automated email sequence, which can be imported into your system account. That's all through the $9 upsell. So for those who aren't clear, I have a free course that I give away. And after people register for the free course, they have an opportunity to get a one-time offer upsell, which is the funnels, the setup training, and the templates and the email swipes. So if people take that, that's when they're introduced to the whole System.io training. Then, of course, if they go and upgrade to my premium program, which is the $997, which also has payment plans, which I alluded to earlier, obviously they're going to get training in there as well. So no matter which way they purchase, if they just purchase the $9 initial thing, they're going to get training. If they skip that later on down the road, they purchase the premium program, they're still going to get the training. So anybody who's a paid customer gets the training. And, the thing about that is obviously it's very helpful. Really, the key to it is not that it's free or that it's a great funnel, which it's great, but it works. But the key to it is it gets people moving forward.
Exactly.
Because there's not the objection of, hey, when I was using ClickFunnels, for example, that's $97 a month. Okay, $97 in month one is not a big deal for most people. But when it's like, man, until I start making money, that's going to ding my account for $97 every single month. Like, even if you have a decent job making 60, 70 a year, like $100 a month is still somewhat significant, right? So really, that was an objection that I was seeing. Is people were coming into my program, they were seeing that ClickFunnels was $97 a month. So they're like, I don't want to pay that. I guess I can't do it. And unfortunately, that's a mentality that a lot of beginners have. Instead of looking for answers or solutions or alternatives, they're just like, oh, it's $97 a month. My wife, my spouse won't agree to it. I can't afford it. XYZ. I guess it won't work. Even though that's not true, obviously, there's always solutions. That's what was really cool about bringing System in, is like, oh, it's free, cool. Then they get started because there's no more commitment. There's no more risk. Well, I already purchased the $9 funnel. I don't have to pay any more to get it launched. I may as well just launch it and start creating some content. So two things are going to happen from there. A, they might just at least get going and start realizing, oh, this is not too bad. Content's not that hard. And they actually go forward. They start making their first couple commissions, and then their life's changed forever because now they have a belief. Or the other thing that happens is they get it going and they're like, okay, I'm invested now, so I have to invest more, or I should invest more, or it makes sense to invest more. And I think that really that action of setting up the funnel and giving people something to be proud about or feel accomplished about is what also helps the conversions of my back end program as well. It's like, I did it. And I've come this far. I may as well invest in the premium program to get the coaching and all that stuff. So it's just it's a really good deal. And that's the thing. You have to look for solutions for your students. Exactly. And just like you said, you found out that System.io was available in Spanish. So you said you're diving into it, you're educating yourself, and then you're going to come back and share that information with your students. That's the perfect example of how anybody can get started with affiliate marketing. It's just like, you don't know anything? Great. Go educate yourself. And then take that information and then bring that information that you learned and distill it down, or not distill it down, but like simplify it down and share it to your audience. And that's value. Now you're a leader, right? Even if you're just consider yourself a reporter and not an expert, at least you're reporting information to people that can help them. And that's really the name of the game. And we've heard it from time and time again from past guests. Like, I learned and then I taught. And that's how they built $1 million plus business.
Yeah. And also the feedback that your own students give you, that's so powerful, like like just how there's people that are probably like, I don't want to take your feedback, like you should never be a know-it-all. You get me? That you should never be that type of person. And I've been listening to people, and of course I don't agree with everything because that's impossible to agree with everything, but you do find a way to make it work. You get me? And it's just a great way. And I just want to give you a compliment too, because honestly, Brian, I think you're my mentor. Honestly, like, you're one of my mentors. I look up to you, and every time we talk about business, I learn so much from you. So I just have to throw it out there.
No,
I really appreciate everything that you say, and it actually has helped me with my business and everything. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That's very nice. Thank you. And the thing is like, this goes back to our first meeting when we first met, at that mastermind that we spoke with back in 2021, I think is when it was. I think it was December 2021, the first time we met face to face. We had communicated online, but this is the first time we ever met face to face, or we're in the same room together. And I learned a ton from you. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying that to make this a compliment fest here. It's just like, yes, we have to understand, like, someone who's been doing this for years comes in and learns something from someone who's been doing this for a year or two, right? And anybody who's listening, the point of this is anybody who's listening, if you take the time to go out and educate yourself and try some things that maybe haven't been done before, and then find something that works, or find a different way to explain a solution to an age-old problem, right? Maybe somebody will resonate with that. So there's plenty of opportunity. And I think that's the value of this podcast. I did see a negative comment on one of our podcasts. It was a negative review on one of the podcast platforms. I don't remember which one. It might have been Apple Podcasts, but it was like something like this podcast is all fluff or something, or I don't remember what it said specifically. But the funny thing is if you sit and listen to these episodes, just like I've sat and listened to podcast episodes, yeah, some of it's just going to be stories, some of it's going to be banter back and forth. But if you really pay attention and kind of read between the lines, I truly 100% believe that there's a ton of value in these things, because this is the good stuff, right? This isn't like, hey, 5 steps to make 6 figures crap that you see on YouTube. That's just the same generic information. This is where you get the good stuff. This is like when you go to a mastermind or an event and there's a bunch of speakers on stage, and then at 8:00 the event's over and you go sit at the bar and you shop with people who are in attendance. That's where you learn the good stuff, right? That's where you get the good information after a few whiskeys and it's 2:00 in the morning. That's where you get the life-changing information. And I think that's what this podcast is, and really any podcast. It's the good stuff. But you got to be able to sit through it, enjoy the entertainment, but also read between the lines and see where the real value is. And that's exactly what you're doing when we go back and forth, just like that's what I'm doing with you.
Yeah, 100%. Before I forget, I just remember. Well, you said something about the review that we got, which I had no idea about. I don't know which platform it was, but I mean, who cares, right? Like, reviews, people have opinions, there's nothing you can do about it. But anyways, we did have somebody that had a little suggestion what we should talk about on our Instagram account. So if you guys don't know, if you guys want to listen to something, if you guys have a specific question, you can go to our Instagram, send us a message, let us know what we want us to talk about. and we will talk about it in the next episode if we're able to. But somebody asked, how do new affiliate marketers have conversations before they've made any commissions? So I think that's an important question because um, once you start becoming an affiliate marketer, right, you start creating content. There's a point where you might blow up, right? You might go viral. One video might get 1 million views. And then what ends up happening that you get so many comments, you get so many DMs in your accounts. And now you're like, oh, because this happened to me. And I was like, okay, how do I talk to them now? You get me? Because I had no idea how to talk to people, especially when I had no results. So I'm gonna let you go first, Brian. How was your first conversations when you first started, without results, without any type of um credibility, from zero? Like, what type of conversations were you having with those people?
Yeah, so I fall into a little bit different category because I'm so old. I started before there was really a whole lot of social media marketing going on, right? Like I started with product review blogs and stuff like that. So it wasn't the way that marketing is done now, where you post a reel and then you get 1,000 DMs of how to get started. So by the time that technology came around, I had already seen results. But the other thing is, you have to focus on what value you can bring, right? Like, yeah, when you see people on social media and they're saying, hey, I made $1.5 million in 9 months and I bought this $5 million house, right? Like, that's what we see because they're going viral right now. They're relying on the traffic to make a majority of their money, and that's great for them. But that is just what gets people excited. To get people to take action, they really need to not only see an opportunity, but they need to believe that they can do it. So if we're an affiliate marketer and we're promoting something like an affiliate marketing course, but we haven't had results yet, okay, maybe we're not an expert, but we have value, we have insight. And people, if you're in that situation right now, you actually have what I call the beginner's advantage, and you need to take advantage of it because here I am. I've been doing this since 2012. I just talked about how I'm going down to 3 days a week. I have all the awards behind me, right? I've won cars and plaques and rings and steering wheel things and stuff like that. And I haven't worked a 9 to 5 since 2016. So I am not super close to the beginner anymore. So because there's that distance, I have to work really hard to build that trust, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, here's just another guru who lives a laptop lifestyle and whatever. So people automatically put up their red flags when they see me. So that's why I have to work so hard to build that trust. Like, no, I'm a good guy. I got a free course. Actually, I'm just going to teach you. I'm not trying to sell you anything, all that stuff. That's all part of my strategy, right? That's very deliberate. Whereas if you're just a beginner, then people are going to be like, I trust this person. They're not trying to show me any screenshots or anything like that. It's like if you asked your neighbor, like your neighbor came home with a brand new car, be like, man, how'd you get that? And be like, oh, actually, I did this, this, and this. You'd be likely to trust them because they're just a normal person who, whatever. That's the same advantage you have as a beginner. So to answer the question specifically, if you started creating content, you don't have results yet, and all of a sudden you're getting these DMs about how do you start, just be honest with people. Be like, don't necessarily focus on how to get the results when you're talking to them. Focus on teaching them why this is such a great opportunity. And the thing about affiliate marketing is, as examples go, you don't have to create products. You don't have to worry about customer service. You don't have to charge, right? Those are all advantages of affiliate marketing. You're not going to get bogged down with fulfillment. So really, when you're communicating with people, that's what you're selling. You're selling the opportunity and why it's different. And then if people want actual help, like, well, I don't know how to do this. If you don't know the answer, just tell them, I don't know, but I'll educate myself and I'll get back to you. You see, when we take that leadership role, eventually we get to a point where we're not going to know something. Even me, after doing this for, 11 years now. I get to a point where I'm like, I don't know. I'll find out though. And then when you learn that information, you digest it, and then now you know it. So that's great. It adds to your toolbox. But then when you turn around and you teach it, that's when you actually master it. So to kind of answer the question in the shortest form possible, it's like embrace the beginner's advantage that you do have and just try to help people.
Yeah. And be sincere about it, you know? And for I guess my answer is basically educate people. When I first started, I had no results. I had no credibility. I had nothing really to my name in the online world. But what I did do was I was sincere with people and I showed them who I was. You know, so I made people trust me just by sharing my story. When I first got my first sales, I was able to accomplish my first sales because I was doing TikTok lives. Okay, and that going live is such a powerful way because people get to see you for who you really are, you know. And people saw my struggle. People saw that I was struggling right there in the beginning. You know, people saw that I was tired. People would always tell me, "Are you high?" And I was like, "No, I'm just really tired because like I have droopy eyes. My eyes were red because I was doing lives like at 6 in the morning. I was doing lives like late night. You get me? So it's just like people are gonna get to see you for who you are, and that's gonna make you more sincere. And basically, I was talking about the business. You know, I was not talking about people's results. I was not talking about screenshots, you know. I wasn't talking about any of that, but I was talking about my experience and what I had learned from the program that I was promoting. You get me? And then just by having a conversation, and you're literally having a conversation by yourself, basically. You're just basically sharing your story to a screen, right? And then people are commenting, and then from there you just ask questions, you know. What do you guys want to know? Or do you guys know anything about this business? You know, you'll be surprised how many people are engaged with your lives just by having a conversation. You know, one question can turn into a whole topic that you can talk about. And guess what? 40 minutes later, you're still doing that live and answering to more questions, you know, and then that's what gets people want to see that you're a real person. And you don't have to talk about results. You don't have to talk about any of that. And then there's also other people that they do leverage other people's results. You get me? And I'm not saying tell them that you made this much using other people's money. You get me? That's not ethical. You shouldn't do that. Or use screenshots from other people, right? You should not do that. But other people do leverage other people's results. For example, my mentor, I can talk about one of my mentors, which is Dave, right? I learned from him, from his program. So I can talk about his experience. You know, yeah, my mentor was somebody that was a construction worker, and then he started a business, and then he blew it up to 10 million plus. You get me? So you could talk about that because you learn from that person, but you shouldn't take people's results for your own results. You know, that's not what we do here, and you should not do that.
Yeah, you don't want to take someone's screenshots and pass them off as your own, or Photoshop anything. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I just shared this in my last coaching call with my VIP students as well. It was actually 2 coaching calls ago. But really, when you're talking about top of the funnel stuff, right? Like you want to attract eyeballs so you can show opportunity. But the other thing you want to do is you want to establish authority. And like you said, if you learn from a mentor who's made $10 million online, well, then you can leverage authority by association, right? I'm connected to this person. They've done this, this, and this. You just show opportunity. And then I say you can do the easy transition of, and here's what I learned. So if someone was in my program, they could simply say, hey, I spent $1,500 to get into this mentoring program with a gentleman who's done over $2 million in sales online as an affiliate or whatever. And here's what I learned, right? It's leveraging that authority by association. I think it's exactly what you're saying there.
Yep, 100%. And trust me, just speak true to yourself, and then you will get those results. And it happens to everybody. You know, everybody starts from zero. Nobody started from, maybe, but I don't know. Nobody started from having results already. You know, you have to start from zero, and then little by little, guess what? You're gonna have a high ticket. Now you can talk about that,
Right.
and then that's just gonna build the momentum, and before you know it, you're in our podcast, and we're interviewing you.
That's right. We'd love to have you on the show. And the thing is people see screenshots and opportunity and they talk about telling your story and the pain and all that stuff, but really the best way to build a connection, and I think one thing that you kind of talked about but haven't said specifically is sell yourself first before you sell the program. And one of the easiest ways to do that, leveraging the algorithms, right? Give the platforms what they want, right? Don't try to game the system. Just take what they're giving you and use it to your advantage. Is you're going to attract people when you post content that are kind of like you. It's just the way it works. Like if you go into one of my coaching calls, it's a bunch of 90% of the people in there are dudes in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, because I'm a dude in my 40s, right? You know what I mean? So I kind of just attract people who are just kind of like me. That's the way the algorithms work, because that's what we like as humans, right? We like to see things that are like us. So if we can just be honest and open and true to ourselves, then what's going to happen? People are going to see themselves in you, meaning your leads, your potential leads, are going to see themselves in your story, in you being the marketer or the leader. And when they see themselves in whoever they're following or paying attention to, then they're going to want to follow the same path. And if you're doing affiliate marketing for an affiliate marketing education program, for example, I mean, that's a natural transition into the conversion. It's as easy as that. You just have to dumb it down and simplify it and be willing to be consistent with it.
Yeah. And the consistency comes with the momentum. As soon as you get that first big commission, use that to build the next one and the next one and the next one. And a little example that I can give to is for my program, I do coaching calls on a weekly basis. So once a week, I meet with my students and I give them a coaching call. But my program, I launched it in May 1st. That's when I launched my program, which is actually my daughter's birthday. So it's funny because May 1st is such an important day for me. I done so many things on May 1st, and I don't know why, but that date is just like the most important day of my life, I think. But anyways, at first on my coaching calls, I only have one person, right? The first week, 2 weeks, only one person. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna just build this momentum. Then the third week I had 2, 3 people. And then little by little it just keeps going up. It goes racing. And eventually there's gonna be way more people there, right? So but I'm utilizing the momentum of that one person that showed up, right? And I took screenshots and I'm using that momentum. Just I only needed that one person to stay consistent with me, and then it started multiplying by the weeks go. So it's just you have to utilize any little thing that you have.
And when you're talking about like going live or answering questions in the DM, here's the thing. Okay. And it kind of builds on exactly what you're saying. You use the momentum of that one person. You just needed one person to show up. Well, guess what? If you're an affiliate marketer who is looking for results to leverage, then you just need one person. So go all in on getting that one person and over deliver and stuff like that, because it's going to get easier and you can leverage that into scale. So when we see people who are making, $200,000 a month, for example, with Legendary Marketer, they've reached a tipping point where they're attracting ungodly amount of leads that you can't even imagine how many leads they're getting. But here's the thing. They're playing a numbers game. So if they have a video that gets 1 million views, are they going to get 500,000 buyers? Of course they're not. But if you're sitting there and being authentic and you're on the live and you're in the DMs, your conversion rate is going to be so much higher, right? So you might only get 10 views or 200 views or whatever. But if you can convert a higher percentage of those people into a program, then you might make the same 25 sales that they did on their video that got 10,000 views, because you're in there, you're spending time, you're connecting with them. And then like you said multiple times, then you leverage that into much greater success at scale.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you only need one. Just think about the guys. You only need one person, and then you will be one step closer. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yep. Cool. Well, I think this was a great episode, Brian. It's always super nice to talk to you. Any last words for our listeners today?
I tell you what, I mean, you finished it off with one of the most powerful things is you just need the one. And I think that's the thing. It's like people go on social media, they see people making millions, so they want to make millions. And they try to do things that will make millions, or they think they will, or they're seeing make millions. So then they do all those things and then they skip all the steps and they don't make any money. Whereas if you can just turn around and go try to make $1 or $5 or your first high ticket commission and just focus on that, like that can happen in weeks, right? Or faster. So just give the process its due authority, right? Like respect the process. Don't try to shortcut it. Everything's going to work out.
Yep, 100%. Well, Brian, it's a pleasure to have you. Um, I'm excited that we're both done with vacations. Now we're getting the podcast in the groove, in the same rotation that we used to have it before our vacations happened. And we have really exciting guests coming up too. So please, everybody, don't miss the future episodes because it's gonna blow your mind.
Yep, the guests are just getting more. I don't want to say better because we've had some amazing guests, but the guests that are coming on have been in the game longer. They have more authority, and a lot of them are doing things that are unique to them. So it's going to be some great episodes. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast. Go check out the past episodes of the Evolved Marketing Podcast, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Bye, everybody.